there was an article in Financial Times. I'm a big, from Patrick McGee. I've talked to him a few times, and essentially he reported that Apple was essentially doubling its workforce in advertising, and they're definitely not saying that's not going to happen, and you rarely expect Apple to do that. But what really struck me, though, was, again, getting back to the irony of Apple, who's going to create this huge advertising business. I mean, step one, Apple convinced everybody that advertising was bad and that they cared about privacy, and they instituted some pretty good user controls about how they did it. And then they removed the tracking cookie capability, which drove the businesses like Facebook and Snapchat, just decimated their capabilities and revenues. Essentially, the ability to tee up more higher CPM based advertising that users could connect to, and they could charge more for. So, and then after this, they're building this giant ad business. And I think that the irony and I don't think my pessimism is unwarranted here. I just think that the company needs to be called out in what it did. And quite frankly, I admire it, the Apple power move here.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is it? All right. Well, yeah, we need to get a little faster anyway, so I'm glad you did. Look, I've had a number of conversations. I actually was cited in one of Patrick's articles last month talking about this. The long and the short of it is Apple is sort of leveraged, and we've talked about it in the show, they've leveraged their kind of privacy first strategy to push out other companies that have aggressively utilized cookies and data tracking to get more targeted advertising. And now they've sort of monopolized, which, surprise, the ability to track and cookie and collect data so they can better advertise. It's ridiculous, dude. The fact is that what's most ridiculous about the whole thing, though, to me, is that I think regulators, because they all use Apple, they just don't say anything about it. I don't know what it is. They're like, I don't want my experience to get messed up. And by the way, this is where I always talk about, Pat, the decoupling of consumer harm and competition is that consumers are happy with it. They're like, that's great. I'll just do everything with Apple. They're okay with it. But the problem is eventually we're going to have no competition left.
Well, dude, and then you've got you got Tim Cook, basically the friendly grandpa who, wears nice grandfather clothes. He's hip. He's clean, he's shaven, gray hair, talks about, protecting consumers and everything like that. But, let's not talk about the giant ad business. Let's talk about not paying your suppliers. Let's not talk about crushing your suppliers. Let's not talk about using slave labor in China to put phones together. Every woke statement that comes out of Apple, and they don't talk about the Uyghurs. It's freaking mind blowing to me.